Atheist dies, heads to light, then goes here instead. Hello everyone. Thanks for being here with us. Today we're going to talk about a near-death experience. This person had a very interesting experience after they accidentally injured themselves. Let's hear what happened, and then we'll have some questions. So, it all started the day before. This person was going through a tough time because their business was failing. They had been working hard for years, but things fell apart and they had to sell their house. They moved to a rental, but that didn't work out either. On June 11th, 2020, they were getting ready to move out. They were exhausted from fixing up a new place they were moving into. In the basement, they tried to open a bucket of paint with a pocket knife. Suddenly, the knife slipped and cut their arm, hitting an artery. It didn't hurt at first, but then blood started gushing out. They ran upstairs, asking their spouse to drive them to the hospital, but she refused. So, they tried to stop the bleeding themselves but couldn't. They started feeling dizzy and eventually passed out. When they woke up, they saw themselves lying on the ground from above. I shot up into the air, like on a rocket ship, and ended up in a black void with a faraway white light. It got closer until it filled the whole space. It looked like white ink dropping on black paper. I felt other presences around, but I couldn't see them. Then, I was in a meadow with green grass, colourful flowers and butterflies. It smelled amazing, like fresh dew and flowers. A presence talked to me in my head, offering me a choice to stay or go back. I felt a lot of love and forgiveness. They showed me a giant library with big books, like the Akashic Library. I was led to a room with a table and a dome on top, symbolizing my life's choices. I don't remember choosing to come back, but suddenly I woke up to paramedics. They took me to the hospital, and I recovered despite low blood pressure. Before this, I was an atheist, but now I see things differently. Many people who have near-death experiences change their outlook on life completely. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. They told me it's my last chance, and recently I've realized what that means. It kept echoing in my mind, reminding me to change everything. Without that message, I might have gone back to old habits, chasing money instead of finding balance and healing. It scared me at first, but it pushed me to change everything in my life. As for the consequences of messing up, I think it's a personal message. Near-death experiences are different for everyone. What resonates with one person might not resonate with another. Over time, I've found new meaning in things I didn't understand before. It's like peeling layers of an onion, discovering new insights as we're ready for them. When I was in that heavenly realm, my beliefs as an atheist didn't matter. I felt overwhelming love and compassion without any judgment for my past choices. There were many paths to that moment, all part of my journey. I'd almost died a couple of times before this. I almost died on a mountain. I died once from an allergic reaction where the paramedic had given me way too much epinephrine. I have this rare condition called hyperanaphylaxis, so my body compensates extremely well. If I get epinephrine and adrenaline, it actually causes me to have a heart attack. Now, that time, and this was a couple of years before 2020, all I saw was a bunch of red, and it was hot. But that didn't seem to work, so I needed another kick, I think. Yeah, I don't think any of the choices or mistakes I've made have made me the person I am today. And I think that's the biggest point, no matter where you are in your life, and no matter what has happened or any choices or who you've hurt or anything, I think dealing with that and being able to find compassion for yourself, and not just others, I think that's the big thing. And yeah, I think there is no judgment on the other side because we all make mistakes, and you're allowed to find. It's just like being a toddler. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to hurt us sometimes, but it's all about learning. I find it so fascinating that you said you know you're going to hit these main points, but there were so many paths that you could take to get to those points. And a lot of people I found have trouble with the fact that our lives are sort of pre-planned in advance. But I think it seems like what you're saying is, yes, you do have these things that are planned, but there are lots of routes to get there. Yeah, how I view it is, it's like choose your own adventure, and there's easy ways to get through life and there's other ways. I was super stubborn. I was fighting against the universe and fighting against what internally was calling me. I was listening to others' opinions more than myself. I was looking for external validation, external love, and all these different options which made my life way harder. It was way harder than it had to be, and that was my own damn fault. There were paths that I could have taken, and I can look back at certain paths where I could have pulled the plug on my business way earlier, and I would have saved myself. It would have been the same outcome no matter what. There was no way that business was going to work. I was with the wrong partner. I was in the wrong industry. I was just there to make a buck, and so that was never going to work. There were tons of clear signs. There were signs everywhere. There were flashing neon signs saying, "Stop what you're doing, this isn't working," but I just ignored it all. I thought I knew better. And now I kind of go with almost like a Taoist mentality, which is I go with the flow. So I plan a little bit, but I allow the universe to surprise me a bit more. That's how I do it. That's a fun way to think about it, to let the universe surprise us. Sean, one of the things you mentioned was you were heading toward this light, and then boom, all of a sudden you're in this meadow. So was that meadow part of the light? Had you gone into it, or was it something separate? Right. I don't know. It's almost like a threshold. As soon as I touched that threshold, I was instantly in this other space. If you start doing some research on Robert Monroe or for out-of-body experiences or different NDs, there seem to be these different layers and realms of different dimensions. Like who knows what it is. We seem to be getting prepared for multiverses in popular culture, so I'm sure that has something to do with it, along with quantum physics too. It could have just been a portal or a way for me to transition my mind to be prepared in order to get there. I've never actually really thought about that, so it's an interesting thing. Yeah, I think it is a way to prepare me to be able to not have a complete meltdown on the other side. And when you were in the meadow, you said it was kind of stereotypical of what near-death experiences describe, but they also often say that it's beyond description. So, was this like a meadow that we would see here on Earth, or was it different than that? It was way more beautiful than any meadow I've seen, and I live by the Rockies up here in Canada, some of the most beautiful scenery you'll see in the world, and it was more beautiful than that, in a way that's hard to describe. Everything was kind of glowing, twinkling almost, and it looked like looking through a bubble. It's really hard to describe. I don't think I'm good enough with words to be able to describe how beautiful it was. Everything had a glow to it, almost like it was alive. Yeah, like you were connected to everything. It's like every blade of grass, every butterfly. I don't know if any of your audience has ever done psychedelics, but it's kind of like that when you're on a high hero dose of mushrooms. It's kind of similar to that, where it has this twinkle and this energy, and you can feel this energy. Yeah, it sounds fascinating. Another place that I found really fascinating was the library, because that is something that I've heard from other people, and I'm trying to visualize it. I imagine this kind of old wood, walls and just kind of antique-ish. Is that what it is? How would you describe it? I know you said it's huge, so what on earth comes next is really fascinating. It took me into an area I did not expect. So let's go ahead and take that into part 2. For those of you that have made it this far, please leave the words "made it" in the comments, just to let me know. And then also, if you have anything that you want to share in the comments, some of the things that you liked or you're intrigued by, please go ahead and share that. And if you liked what you've seen, please give it a thumbs up. So hopefully I'll see you in part 2. Thanks so much for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tess. That was part 1. Make sure to listen to part 2. And if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more episodes.